Hey, let's get into it. When firefighters battle a wildfire, one of their goals is really surprisingly simple. Don't give the fire more fuel. A fire needs something to consume. It needs dry grass, trees, bushes, brush. You remove the fuel, and the fire begins to lose its strength. You add fuel, and it spreads. And our relationships often work the same way. Conflict rarely grows on its own. Someone adds fuel. Maybe it's a sharp comment or a sarcastic remark, something defensive, and suddenly a small disagreement just spirals and grows into something much larger. And that's what Proverbs wants to speak to here in Proverbs 15, verse 1. A soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. Now, one of the reasons this proverb has endured, continues to be relevant to us thousands of years later, is because everyone knows that it's true. You've lived it. Someone responds gently during a really tense moment. The temperature in the conversation and the relationship, it drops. The situation, it settles. People begin listening again. You've lived the opposite, I'm sure, too, where one harsh sentence or defensive remark, sarcastic response, and suddenly the entire conversation it changes. And notice the Proverbs is not saying that truth doesn't matter. It's not saying that we need to avoid difficult conversations. We don't have to become passive and ignore injustice. And the issue isn't whether we speak. The issue is how we speak. The word here translated soft carries the idea of gentleness, which means a controlled strength, power under control. And so it's measured speech. A person not being controlled by the moment. That's wisdom. Because most of us allow the tone of a conversation to determine our reaction. Someone raises their voice, we raise ours. Someone becomes defensive, we put up our walls and get defensive right back. If someone attacks, then we fight back. We kind of mirror what's happening around us. Wisdom does something different. Wisdom chooses its response, not reacting, but a chosen, careful response. We can kind of see this through Scripture. Gideon is confronted by angry men from Ephraim. He answers carefully, and the conflict dissolves, and a potential civil war is avoided because of a wise response. On the other hand, Rehoboam, the knucklehead, responds harshly to the people of Israel when the king and the kingdom fractures. Words matter, tone matters. Our response makes a difference. Proverbs is pointing us towards something even deeper. That harsh words usually come from somewhere. A harsh mouth is often reflecting an agitated heart. It reflects fear, pride, maybe frustration, or just a competitive need to win. Gentle speech isn't merely a communication technique, it's evidence that something deeper is happening inside of us. A person who is secure doesn't need to dominate every conversation, doesn't have to defend themselves. A person who trusts God, they don't have to win every argument. A person who's growing in wisdom can stay steady even when others around them aren't. And here's what makes this really difficult. Gentle answers rarely feel natural, if we're honest, in the moment. We want to fight back. A gentle answer usually requires some restraint. It needs a pause, a decision not to react, and the willingness to listen before we respond or defend ourselves or fight back. We go back to the wildfire. The fire, it looks for fuel. Conflict does that too. And wisdom recognizes that every conversation presents a choice. Will I add fuel to this heated conversation, or will I help contain the flames? So think about a difficult relationship or conversation in your life. How do you normally respond when tension rises, when you feel attacked? Do you get defensive? Do you withdraw? Do you fight back? Do you try and prove a point and win the argument? And what would a gentle answer, what would it look like in those situations? Not avoiding truth, not pretending everything is fine, but speaking with wisdom instead of just reacting. Because sometimes the most powerful thing that we can do in conflict is refuse to provide more fuel. Wherever you find yourself, God goes with you today.